Okay. So this is going to be guided. And later on, if you have some questions related to particularly this meditation, for the emptiness meditation with the help of four essentials, feel free to bring these questions up. Okay, ready? Take 3 deep breaths. And let us set a motivation. Even this experience of emptiness may it become extremely refined and eventually be shared with all the Dhamma sentient beings. Okay, good. So as John said, we'll meditate the emptiness of the self-I. What are you doing? I'm meditating. What is your body doing? My body in a meditative posture. And how does the self appear to you? Like a dream that your mind is creating the self, or the self is in appears as so objectified, so solidly there, independent of my mind. Of course, so independent of my mind. And this belief that this I exists objectively, this is self-grasping ignorance. And this is the root of all the miseries. This is the ignorance which the Buddha identified as the ignorance as the root of all the miseries. Okay, how do you know that this self, seeing this self as objective real, is ignorance and not wisdom? Not valid mind. How do you know this? Yes. If the self does exist objectively, the way in a manner in which it appears to me, remember what Arya Nagarjuna taught? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? With a similar token of reasoning, if this self, which I identified as I, would exist objectively, why don't I see this self as I go closer to its object? By going closer to its object, if I see the self is not there, means self is empty of objective existence. So this mind which goes closer towards this self, to its object, to analyze if the self does exist in that form, there's no ultimate analysis. In technically speaking, let us subject this self to ultimate analysis. Okay. By subjecting self to ultimate analysis, anything which is not the self, we just ignore them, because we're interested in the objectively existing self. Okay, subjecting self to ultimate analysis, we go closer, closer, closer to self, to the object. We first see a very thin layer of the skin. Behind that, the fatty tissues. Behind that, the whole bone, the muscles, cartilages. Alongside the heart, the lungs, liver, pancreas, kidney, spleen, intestine, stomach, gallbladder. These solid parts constitute the element of earth. None of the element of earth is the self. Element of water, 4 liters of blood which is pumped in and out by the heart to different parts of the body. Of course, that is not to be identified as intrinsically as one with the self. Element of fire, 2,500 joules of energy, in other words, the body heat. Even that's also not the self. Element of air, 4.6 liters of air that you breathe in and out through your lungs. element space. 99.99% of the body is vacuum. The body is nothing but made of the atoms, and atoms are space between the nucleus and the electrons is so vast in comparison with the space occupied by the electrons, neutrons, and protons. So essentially, 99.99% of our body is just vacuum. Of course, the element of space. I'm not a space, I'm not a vacuum, I'm a solid person. Next, element of consciousness or element of mind. I'm a male, I'm a female. My mind doesn't have a gender. Gender is posited on the basis of the body. Also that people can see me, people cannot see my mind. If there's my consciousness, also not me. Okay, now, what are you seeing? In the ultimate analysis, what are you seeing? I'm just seeing the 6 elements. Where is this? Which of the 6 elements is to be identified as the self in the ultimate analysis? None. Okay. None of the 6 elements. How the self, the person who identifies I, appears in the confirmation analysis, in the confirmation analysis, how it appears now is very different. Now it's just 6 elements scattered, they're all disconnected. There's no self there. There's no person known as I there. If you're very certain about this, that self is no way to be identified as intrinsically as one, or none of these 6 elements to be identified as the self, if you're sure of this, you have understood the second essential of understanding, the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically one with its parts. Okay. Now, if none of the 6 elements is to be identified as the intrinsic as the self, then see if the self can be identified as intrinsically different from the 6 elements. Remove the 6 elements. Where is the self? Nothing, nowhere to be seen as a self. If you're extremely sure of this, you are seeing the emptiness of the objects being intrinsically different from the parts. Okay. Now there's only 2 possibilities for the self to exist objectively. The moment both the possibilities are ruled out, in a way, you are saying that the self does not exist as objectively real. Okay. Now, go back to the ultimate analysis once more. And the 2 possibilities are both ruled out for the self to exist objectively. Now tell me, where is the self, which you earlier saw as intrinsically real, as object real there? Where is the self? Nowhere to be seen. Stay in this experience for a while. And for some people, a tinge of fear can come. If it does come to you, you are extremely fortunate. If it does not, don't worry. And for you, the 6 elements, if they come to your mind, this is not emptiness. If 6 elements come to your mind, while the self does not appear, but the 6 elements come to your mind, there's not emptiness of the mind, emptiness of the person. So how do we get the emptiness of the person precisely? This experience could be extremely fleeting, so momentary, because we are never used to this experience. So, how to try to sustain this? Initially we try to sustain this, and gradually, getting used to this, you'll be able to sustain it easily. How to try to sustain this? By asking 2 questions. The first question, what are you seeing in the ultimate analysis? I just see 6 elements. Okay, where is the second question? Where is the self as object real? Where is object real as the self which appeared before? Nowhere to be seen. The moment you say nowhere to be seen, the non-affirming negative of the absence of the self as objective real, emptiness of objective existence of the self appears to you extremely in a fleeting moment. And again the six elements may come to you. The moment six elements come to you, your emptiness again left you. You have to ask the two questions. What am I seeing? I'm seeing the six elements. Okay, just go into the six elements: earth, water, fire, air, space, and we have to go through these elements one by one. Don't just say that, oh yeah, I'm just made of six elements. If this is your attitude, emptiness will never come to your mind. You have to go one by one. You should be very sure that you are seeing the six elements distinctly. Then the chance for us to see the emptiness of this self is greater. Oh, I'm just seeing the six elements. Where is the self? The moment you say, where is the self? Again, the ticking sensation can come to your mind, in your body. Self is nowhere to be seen. So that the moment you say self is nowhere to be seen, a very fleeting experience of the emptiness hits you, it comes to you. You try to sustain this experience. So this is how we have to practice on a daily basis. Okay, just stay in this experience, the non-affirming negative experience of the emptiness of the objective self. Stay in this experience. Nowhere to be seen, besides six elements, there's nothing to be seen as the self, as object real. This experience is known as meditative experience of the space like emptiness. Okay, now imagine that you come out of the meditation, which means swap your mind from the ultimate analysis to conventional analysis. The moment your mind switches to the conventional analysis, the self comes back, self appears to you. Again go back to the ultimate analysis, again this self disappears. Again go back to the ultimate conventional analysis, self comes back. There's a constant change happening. Appear, disappear, appear, disappear. But on the object side, there's no change. Change is happening only on the subjective level. Whatever is involved with this, the change, that is subjective. So the self, being a part of this, it appears, it disappears, it appears, disappears, is a part of the change which is happening only on the subject. Therefore, it is purely subjective. Okay, let's go back to subject ultimate analysis. That's what I see. I'm seeing six elements. What is the self? The self is empty. The self is nowhere to be seen. You are not saying the self is empty, but experiencing the emptiness of objective existence of the self. So this is the meditative experience, the meditative equipoise of the space like emptiness. Okay, now slowly come out of this to shift to the conventional analysis. Again the self comes back. And this is the objectively is empty, subjectively it appears. There's a discrepancy between appearance and reality. This is the post-meditative experience of the illusion like emptiness. Oh, you slowly come out of this meditation, come out.